You've been working in open source for a while, and I found it really interesting that you went from what I can only assume was a great job. You were at an ed tech company, right? Was that it? The name's
Yeah,
escaping me, but
Codecademy. It was a great
Code
job.
Academy.
Highly recommend Codecademy as a product and a
Yeah,
place. Lovely
yeah.
people there.
So you were having fun there, you were enjoying it, you were still contributing to open source, but I'm curious what the decision to go full, like, or why did you decide to go kind of all in on working full time on open source? Because I'm sure there's a ton of people curious about this.
A lot of people who themselves are thinking about it, but it's a scary jump. It took me a while to get there. I'd say working at a company is a good thing for most people. You want to have that support of people around you, a team, a manager, a mentor, mentors plural
Hmm.
if you can. But I really like open source software. I like doing things that benefit everyone. Like when I work on TypeScript or TypeScript ESLint, I benefit everyone who uses those tools. Like if I spend 10 hours, let's say, on some bug fixes and a feature in TypeScript, I have just saved
Yeah.
the world's unknowable but large amounts of time. Like I've sped up the rate of human development. Like that's cool. I say
Yeah.
these things which make myself sound so much cooler than I really am, but it makes me feel good. And when you're at a
No,
when
that's
you're at a
awesome.
company, even if you have a lot of thank you, even if you had a lot of time in your day to day to work on open source, it's still for the company. Like, why would they hire you to do things that don't benefit them?
Yeah.
So you don't have as much time or control over your open source stuff. And I just want to do this all the time. So I'm now one of those people, very small but hopefully growing group of people who work on open source full time. And instead of a job with health insurance and 401k and all this, I ask for money on the internet. So this is my first shameless plug of the stream. You told me I could,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
will.
yeah.
Please give me
Shamelessly plug
money.
away.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
GitHub.
dropped your GitHub there so folks can check that out.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
the more
no,
money
it's
people give me, the more I'm able to work on open source. That makes your life better. So thanks. But this exposes something real bad, which is that as an industry, we don't know how to make people like me work. Like the situation I've
yeah.
described of I work on open source tooling that benefits everyone and somehow I get money, like that's not figured out yet. We have ad hoc things
Hmm.
like GitHub sponsors, Open Collective, before that, Patreon. But like there's no strong incentive for most companies to give to open source other than developers are yelling at finance that someone should do it and it's like vaguely good for marketing and recruiting. So I wish we
Yeah.
had like a B Corp style, like you should do this or we all feel bad about you and don't join, but that's not really standard
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because like I'm working in open source at Netlify right now. I worked when I was at Dev 2, I was working in open source and that was my job. So getting paid like that, those are that's it's a really compelling reason why I took those jobs too. I'm a big fan of open source and like just like you said, being able to get paid to work in open source is amazing. So like I happen to find places that did it, but there's like then there's kind of like three scenarios. There's like somebody like me who might be working at a place that does open source. There's people that do it in their free time, and then there's people like yourself who are looking to get sponsored. And you're totally right. It's like, how do you formalize that? Because like, and it's weird too because like large companies, like Babbel, for example, which has had so many hours put into it. I know Henry Zhu gets compensated now through I don't know if it's GitHub sponsors or Patreon, and I don't know if the other contributors do as well, but that came out of like, I don't know if he went the same route as you, or I can't remember the story there, but you know, it's kind of amazing that like most of the planet runs on open source, like Linux and like all these like big companies. And maybe Linux people are definitely putting money into it, I guess. But like, I would think all the places that have been using, like Babel, Webpack, all that stuff, why aren't people or companies, putting money into
Yeah.
that? And I don't know I don't have an answer or anything, but it's just kind of weird. Like, because like myself, I do sponsor people, but there's only so much I can do, like, I mean, I need to use money for other stuff too. And it's like, it's not like I'm about
Yeah.
to sponsor 200 people. I definitely see the aspect where like, the micropayments could definitely stack up for sure. Like if 1,000 people started paying $5 a month, that's definitely changes the game. But why aren't companies like monthly, just donating? I find it kind of weird is all.
individuals donating is like yelling at people to use like either no straw or paper straws. Like, yes, you're doing a good thing, but the real issue is systemically the capitalist society we in has not adjusted to do public goods and services and similar like open source.
Yeah.
That's my rant for the morning.